We are live. We are live. Welcome to college football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, if you just need a little bit of extra content, college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our ever-growing channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends, your priest, your psychiatrist, your significant other. Share the video among your social networks. Come on into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kirk Gowdy Avenue. Gusts of wind blowing through college football country. I stole the gust of wind. I stole that line from 365 Sports Today with Craig Smoke, Paul Catalina. Craig said, gust of wind. He feels like there may be a gust of wind blowing. And I said, yes, gust of wind. That's a very good way of stating it. So I'm stealing it. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. He probably, because I'm a nobody, he probably is okay with me stealing it, but I'm going to steal it. Gust of wind is blowing. Now, some people don't think there's a gust of wind blowing. Some people don't think so. So we're going to go through some stuff today. Some articles written. People don't think it's happening now. That gust of wind. We're going to go through it. And so that's going to be part of my monologue. We're going to go through your comments. Then we're going to open up the phone lines. Welcome into College Football's Peek Around the Corner. It's an early Friday evening. First, let's get to sponsor for tonight's show. Welcome to Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. We invite you to discover the Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters difference. Clean hot air roasted coffee produces a smoother, a richer, a healthier coffee that is less bitter and less acidic. Our hot air roasted coffee uses convection heat to loft the beans for a very even heat transfer. The clean, bright taste that people rave about is achieved by roasting the bean quickly and evenly while suspended on a bed of hot air. From craft to cup, hand-picked coffee beans, the smoothest coffee you'll ever have. You just got to give it a try. Go to the link provided in the description. Order yourself a bag of these beautiful beans. Blue Bali Moon is my wife's favorite. Give it a try. And if you want to support this channel while purchasing the most beautiful bag of beans you've ever had, put down PATC in the comments section. We thank you very, very much. And of course, go to the merchandise store. There's a link provided in the description. The PATC official mug. We're going to be having some beautiful t-shirts being released here pretty soon. So give it a look as well. And of course, you guys know the rules. Cloak and Dagger. It's real. It's here. Cloak and Dagger. Drink responsibly. Drink that Diet Coke in your official mug responsibly. Okay. Let's get to the show. First of all, let me thank everybody that's coming in. Skull Ducky, K-Do, Randy Taylor, the Evil Badger, Jeff Olson, David Kreitzer, Sean, Scott Wilson, MP, Kirkpatrick. Wow, a lot of people. Gary's in, Douglas Hall. Thank you so much for everybody coming in. I know it's got to keep your head on a swivel. We can pop up at any time. And we've just popped up. It's Friday. It's May 5th. We talked about here at Peek Around the Corner, the hot bubble of action happening between April 28th and May 17th. We're not moving the goalposts. They are there to stay. So let's say something doesn't happen. Something is going to happen. But let's say nothing happens. Then May 18th, it's grill, it's drill, the host, Greg Flugar, all night long. You guys can just pound on me, and it's going to be a fun show. Not for me, but for all of you in the chat, for all the phone calls coming in. But that's May 18th. Today's May 5th. We gave you the information on April 18th. The hot bubble of action was going to occur. Last live show, which was just a couple of nights ago, we talked about the actors on the stage. Who are they? Well, they're the Big 12. The leader of the Big 12. There's the Pac-12. The leader of the Pac-12. There's the networks that are saying pretty much no on the stage. There's Arizona on the stage. There's Colorado on the stage. As we sit here, May 5th, we talked about who is not on the stage right now. We are in Act 10 of a 14-act play. We went through the intermission. Midway through the play, you guys heard I was up on the stage singing, trying to keep you all entertained. It was a colossal failure. But now we're in Act 10. Utah's not on the stage for Act 10. Arizona State is not on the stage. Oh, they're making a lot of noise, but they're in the peanut gallery. They're still sitting there making a lot of noise, but they're not on the stage. Okay? We are in Act 10 of a 14-act play, and Act 11 is just right around the corner here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner. But some people don't believe that. Some people, they have other information, other sources. And that's great. We talk about it all at Peek Around the Corner. Everything and everything. We can disagree here at Peek Around the Corner. No problem. We had John Wilner, Mercury News, just a couple days ago, could have been yesterday. He said, nothing has changed. Still a 4-point favorite that the Pac-12 remains as is or possibly expand, but no other schools get poached. A 4-point favorite. We have Casano, John Casano, saying something about a disinformation campaign continues in Big 12 country. Big 12, disinformation. Everything's still okay. We had Dennis Dodd, who put out an article a couple nights ago. That's why we did a live show a couple nights ago talking about the ESPN Tier 1. ESPN is not interested in Tier 1 content. They still might do a little bit of here or there. They still might take a game, but it's not going to be the top games of the Pac-12. They're not going to spend the money on it. He got a lot of blowback on that. Today, Dennis Dodd, there was an interview with him and David Smoke, I believe. And Dennis Dodd, he was asked. Now he's backing up. He's standing on his reporting. No question about it. That's fine. But later in the show, he was asked, do you find, from Catalina and Craig Smoke, do you find anything imminent that's going to happen in regards to this Pac-12, Big 12 saga? And Dennis Dodd said no. He said no. Then, I'm just going through the list of people who believe nothing is really percolating at this time. A couple of days ago, people alerted me to the Monty Show. I think that's out of Utah. And they said on that show, they don't believe anything is going to happen real soon. With Colorado, they didn't, they don't believe something is going to happen real soon. They made that perfectly clear. Then, Marcello 247 Sports. Let's get to it right here. Today, 7 hours ago, 247, great writer Brandon Marcello. What we're hearing on Pac-12 media rights, Big 12 expansion. Let's just go through this real quick. As you can see, I'm setting up the table here. I'm setting up the table. Scottsdale, Arizona, Pac-12 administrators here at the Fiesta Summit spring meetings remain patient but increasingly anxious about the viability of the conference as media rights discussions stretch into the summer. Conflicting reports and outlandish gossip spread across the desert nights as administrators and coaches mingled in Arizona, and another week came and went without resolution. The Pac-12's future is at stake as Commissioner George Kliavkoff seeks a financial package comparable to the Big 12's new media deal signed in October. Big 12 members will be paid an average of $31.7 million per school as part of a 6-year deal. Anything less than the Big 12's average could lead to hesitation from Pac-12 members when asked to sign a grant of rights over to the Pac-12, especially if the new deal is longer than 5 years. Sources tell 247 Sports. New Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark is stationed on the periphery, ready to pounce on afflicted Pac-12 members as he remains aggressive and willing to expand the Big 12's footprint westward. Sources told 247 Sports. Now here's the money shot, and we'll end reading this article on the money shot. Though no secret deadline has been confirmed by Pac-12 sources, Big 12 leadership expects developments in the Pac-12 within 45 to 60 days. And the conference is prepared to apply a full court press on potential Pac-12 defectors, perhaps before the conference finalizes a TV deal, sources tell 247 Sports. So what do we have here? We have sources telling 247 Sports that Big 12 leadership expects developments in the Pac-12 within 45 to 60 days. And the Big 12 Conference will then be prepared to apply a full court press on the potential defectors. So why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because there is a, conventional belief, non-conventional belief, non-traditional media, that this is still somehow, some way, a couple months, a month and a half story that we're not getting anywhere until another 45 to 60 days. Nothing is imminent. The world has not changed. Nothing has changed. It's all disinformation. We keep hearing that flow, that drumbeat. It is the exact same drumbeat that I heard in the spring of 2022. I didn't hear it as much because, quite honestly, hardly anybody was paying attention to what I was saying at Flug Empire and at Minnesota 247. It's the same people. It's the same. It's the same message. It's the same story. We're not quite there at the decision point yet. We're months away. In the spring of 2022, it wasn't even that. It was like, no, this is not happening. Of course, USC's not going to the Big Ten. They're too far away. That has never happened before. Well, the title of this show is Gust of Wind. Because Mr. Smoke said that on the 365 Sports, and it just hit me. It hit me. That's the right phrasing of this. Gust of wind. A gust can come out of anywhere. You might not even see the clouds, the dark clouds rolling in. A gust of wind comes and it goes and it changes everything. Now, they weren't saying on 365 Sports that this is definitely happening, but they were, well, you should watch 365 Sports all the time, but you should watch the episode today. I think you'll get a peek around the corner if you watch 365 Sports. But I'm glad you're here watching this show. I just wanted to set that up. There are more people. I could go through a long list of names. Long list of names. Traditional journalists, non-traditional, websites, message boards, characters on Twitters. They just don't see anything happening inside the bubble of action. They don't see it. So, I would only ask for all of you to keep your head on a swivel, stick close to peek around the corner, and we'll see what happens. But I can assure you that on May 5th, we had 5:33 Central Time, 6:33 Eastern Time. We're not moving the goalposts. Today we put out an episode. I think it was, what is it? Um, hmm. um, let me get to these comments here. Scott Wilson, based on a 45 to 60 day window, something has to be going on right now to make that window. Greg, you obviously have some info that you aren't ready to share. Well, I love, Brandon Marcello, great columnist, does a great job at 247. We just have a disagreement. We don't think there's a 45 to 60 day window. We think it's a whole lot shorter than that. Now, you're right. If it's a 45 to 60 day window, something has to be going on right now. Since our window is a whole lot shorter than that, that means that we believe something was going on weeks ago, right? That's why on April 18th, we said the hot bubble of action is between April 28th and May 17th. So I just brought up his article to show you that there is still grand majority of people out there who believe this decision to stick and go for Pac-12 members is still far off. We at Peek Around the Corner don't believe it is. Not at all. May 17th, inside May 17th, it's May 5th. In our episode of Greg, when will you be able to break the news? Mr. Douglas Hall, I'm not going to be breaking the news. I'm not going to be breaking the news. I'm going to be covering the breaking news. But I'm not going to be one breaking the news. I guarantee you that. So you might be saying, well, why are we here, Greg? Well, because I'm giving you that peek. And when the news breaks, I hope you join Peek Around the Corner, because we're going to be covering it all. And then we'll be able to get into in depth of why and how did it come to this point. Remember, Eye of the Storm. Hot winds and lava bubbles. I'm not... I'm getting sick and tired of this never-ending story with the Pack. It's like waiting for Christmas and it never comes. Buckshot Kid. I can tell you in a very short time from now, either Santa Claus is going to get through the chimney or he's going to get stuck. One or the other. The story is going to alter here very shortly. And then we're all going to have to recalibrate ourselves. Not only us, but universities are going to have to refigure out what's happening, what they should do, recalibrate, take a pause. Possibly, maybe. Like I said here, Greg, you're breaking our hearts instead. We will do what's best for the story in the long run and the short run. That is best for you guys who consume college football. We're going to do what's best for the story. So not what's best for Peek Around the Corner. In the long run, it will be best for us. But let me make something clear. We're not you're not going away today empty-handed. There are people on the stage. I keep coming back to that. There's people on the stage. Who is not on that stage right now in Act 10? We don't believe at Peek Around the Corner that Utah is on that stage as an actor. We don't believe Arizona State is. Now you might say, Greg, you've been talking about Arizona State from the beginning. Yes, I have. And none of those letters, Arizona State is not on that stage right now. They're not happy. Nobody is happy. But they're not happy how this process played out. They're not happy with the leadership. They're not happy. But they're not on the stage. So in the hot bubble of action, Act 10, they're not there. Arizona, Colorado, the Pac-12 commissioner, Big 12 commissioner, networks, athletic directors, they're on the stage. Greg, do you see Arizona State being a fast follower? Oftentimes, Arizona State money guy said yes during those letters. But you know what? When we get to Act 11, we're all going to recalibrate. We're all going to let it happen. We're going to open up the floodgates. Well, we do that every night, but you guys can speculate on what you think is going to happen next or not going to happen. And we'll discuss Arizona State because they'll be the next group that we'll have to discuss. But we strongly believe, even though Arizona State is so not satisfied, don't want heavy streaming at all. They feel like they've been, okay, I'm going to put the words up, allegedly lied to. Boosters, not happy. They know how unhappy Arizona is through all this. But they're not on that stage. Now, if they're on that stage, then we were wrong here at Peek Around the Corner. If Arizona State is part of the story here that's coming around the corner, then we're wrong. But I just want to be clear. They're not on that stage right now. And are they a fast follower? I can speculate, Scott, right now and say yes, they will be. But I also want to wait to get through Act 10 before we talk about Act 11. Recalibration. I can barely say the word. Any news with Arizona State hockey to Big Ten? Don't think that's happening. Don't think that's happening. NW Grape 87. When was the last date Kliakoff made any comment? I don't in public. I don't know. I know they had an event a few days ago. I kind of know what he talked about when he was up in front of everybody, but I'm not going to get into it. Monavision, I'm waiting for the plot twist in Act 12. So, yeah. And Skoducky, Oregon and Washington are quiet in the background. They're not on the stage, but they're in the front row. They are in the front row. And the Big Ten expansion door is cracked open. And the number one hurdle for further Big Ten expansion at this time is out the door, Kevin Warren. Lots of hurdles remain. So part of this recalibration is also has to do with Oregon, Washington, Big Ten, Commissioner, when that gust of wind that Craig Smoke, he didn't. I better be careful. He didn't say a gust of wind is definitely going to happen, but he said, I don't know how to put it. He said gust of wind. He can feel that gust of wind could happen here shortly. And I think that was a perfect way of saying it. I wish I would have thought of that phrase. So I'm stealing it from Craig Smoke. He doesn't know who I am, so I think we're going to get away with it. I think we are going to away with it. Ryan Matson, hey Greg, this is off topic. Nothing is off topic here on a live show. Nothing. Hey Greg, this is off topic, but any news about the Gophers receiving some new players recently through the transfer portal, trying to get a cornerback. We need a cornerback so desperately. Gust of wind going to blow the house of cards down. So on our episode, I believe it was 208 this morning, we talked about the overreaction storylines coming out of the Big Ten conference, the Big Ten spring camps. And we also talked about how, according to PATC's Sportsbook, the line, remember we put up the line that says, what are the odds that the Pac-12 gets poached? At least one more school gets poached from the Pac-12. We moved that line up all the way to -8.5 that the Pac-12 gets poached. At least one school. And if you ask me, does the -8.5, what about in the hot bubble of action? Does that change the line? Will it be one school within the hot bubble of action, at least one school getting poached? Doesn't change the line. Still -8.5. So, we've already been raked. Yes. We've already been raked through the coals. I could show you some tweets, but I'm not going to. Being accused of snatching things in thin air or something like that. We shall see. We shall see. Steelers signed Tanner Morgan as a backup quarterback. Here we go, Steelers. Hopefully Tanner Morgan can make it to their practice squad. Tanner Morgan, great guy, great leader. Physically, I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. I don't think he can. He's got a pretty low ceiling, Tanner Morgan. Great leader for the Gophers. Outstanding. If Utah's not on that stage today, is San Diego State on the stage, or are they still an understudy? I would put San Diego State as an understudy to someone who is not on the stage for Act 10. That's how I would put it. Arizona, Colorado will be announced at the same time. This is random tease. I don't think Utah's on the stage right now. And I've got my doubts. I have got my doubts that anybody in the Pac-12, I really have my doubts that anybody in the Pac-12 believes anybody is on the stage right now. I believe there's some really good some really good reporters who I won't go down that road. All of them doing like honest work. I think some of them have been led astray, especially out west, just like in the spring of 2022. Here's the problem. I get and understand the charts, the graphs. I get all that because I agree with all of it. Big, large research universities want to play with each other. That is 100% correct. But that has not been the whole story for so long. There is other parts to this story. The changing world of college football. Media companies. We're in a media recession. Yormark was able to move up the negotiations and capture what should have been Pac-12 windows, but Big 12 got him. He got the deal done. And on October 30th, on episode 83, we praised Yormark high and low because he made it happen. And we said at that point the Pac-12 was in trouble. It took us to February 24th to finally switch the odds and say they're going to get poached again. That's what's, we believe that became the chalk, the favorite of what was going to happen. But it took us to April 30th, all from 2022 all the way to February 24th of 2023. Now, for us to absolutely flip the odds. We understand all of those arguments. But there's so much more there. The media, the world has changed. Brett Yormark figured it out on day one. He wanted to go national day one. He wanted to go national so he could give more value to his potential, at that time, potential new media partners, which became his old media partners, Fox and ESPN. But he wanted to go national. That was going to be the way the Big 12 survived. And he's about to get it done. Pac-12, one region conference. The networks, especially in this media recession, are balking at it. They're saying no to it. Andrew Michon was on with Big 12, with Josh Neighbors, Lockdown Big 12. Mr. Neighbors, an excellent job once again at interviewing Andrew Michon. I think that interview happened yesterday and it was released today. Go watch it. Andrew Michon I was going to do an episode on it and I'm like, well, kind of beating a dead horse at this point. But ESPN, very tepid interest. The networks are not interested. Andrew Michon went in all the way and said Amazon basically is out. He doesn't believe Amazon's going to be in the deal. Now, he never says totally out. He says, yeah, they could come back in. That's where we are with the Pac-12. And you don't think the Pac-12 presidents know this? I get it. Some people on Twitter and message boards, they still don't get it. They still believe that the history of the Pac-12 conference, large schools, research schools, making sure they play with each other and their peers, that's going to pull them through. But we're not just talking about today. We're not just talking about next year. We're talking about the next 5 years. Where's the Pac-12 going to be if they take an incredibly lousy deal? Because that's all they're getting offered. I don't know. I can't put words in President Robbins' mouth or Colorado president, but they don't want their front porch of the university to get buried, and they have to have some confidence that their university isn't going to lose all ability to do research with the government, state government, and private companies, that their research is absolutely falls apart if they're no longer in the Pac-12 athletic conference, Pacific Athletic Conference. Right? I don't know. I'm going to get to your comments. We'll get to your phone calls. Friday night, gust of wind. We're setting the table up here. We're setting the table up here. When is the next live show that we're going to do at Peek Around the Corner? After tonight? I can't tell you when it's going to happen. But I can give you a peek of how the structure is going to be. It's going to be a wild night or a wild day or a wild afternoon. It's going to be wild. So, we're setting the table tonight. I want you guys to call up and tell me how crazy I am for putting a hot bubble of action on April 18th when we did that for April 28th and May 17th. Tell me how crazy I am for who I have up on that stage on Act 10 and who I don't. Did I leave somebody out that they should be on that stage? Do I have too many people on that stage? Some of you may think that the play shouldn't even be going on right now, that there is no play going on right now. So let me know in the comments section. Give me the phone call. I'm going to open up the lines right now. (763-260-1333) 763-260-1333. The lines are open. Let me know. I believe the lines are open. Little Buck, Monty says Amazon is out, or at least haven't talked in a while. Well, Andrew Michon basically said Amazon. Michon said that earlier. It's a Shakespearean play like Macbeth. Motivision, Greg wrote it. I've never heard of a 14-act play. Who wrote this? We're in Act 10. Wilner has been led astray. Is there quacking or howling from the orchestra? Maybe not the orchestra. But they're in the front row. They are in the front row watching this play to see what happens next, because they can hop on to the stage anytime they want. They're not on the stage for Act 10. Greg should sing The Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald. First of all, that song is impossible to sing without backup music. That's all I'm going to say about that. I cannot sing that song. Gone with the Wind, Act 14, Gone with the Wind. I would call it Gust of Wind. Pflugar knows. Pflugar doesn't know anything. Just ask anybody. Pflugar doesn't know anything. When Colorado comes out with a statement saying they are proud members of the Pac-12, you know what happens next. Don't think we're going to be seeing any statements from anybody until Act 10 gets done. I guess the phone is not working. Let's see what happens here if I redo it. Reset it. Okay, it's been reset. Let me know. Gust of wind, wind of change. PATC is now the definition of silly season. Gordon Lightfoot just passed away this week. Yes, thank you, Tony. Gordon Lightfoot, great Canadian songwriter.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic is on the line. The floor is yours, good sir.
Thanks, Greg. Hey, I got something that's maybe small news, a little bit of history I want to touch on. But before I do that, I don't see your boards aware. Who do you have on the stage for Act 10, as you so describe it?
Act 10. So on Act 10, we have the two commissioners, the Big 12, the Pac-12. We have ESPN, we have Fox, we have Apple TV in the far corner. Amazon's not on the stage. ION is there. CW is there. Of course, they're playing very small parts. The University of Colorado is there. The president is there. University of Arizona president is on the stage. They're all sitting there on the stage. Now, I know you don't believe Colorado's on the stage, so let me have it, Western Civic. Let me have it.
Well, I mean, look, that's not what I came here to talk about, but yeah, I mean, no one wants to go back and just look at what the chancellor from Colorado said, 10 days ago?
Okay.
He said they were going to have, like, the third best contract, and who was it in the debate there on Voice of the other day, the Big 12 guy, the locked-on guy, forgive me, I think his name is Josh, forgive me. But he said, well, who's ever said that they're going to have a good deal? Well, how about the Chancellor of Colorado? In any event, look, I'm really looking forward to the last year of Pac football because that's what it is, no matter what happens. Because those of us in the Pac, our whole thing, I mean, look, we all just hated LA. We all hate USC. Our whole seasons were always about beating those guys. And that's never coming back unless, something gets undone. And so, whatever comes next, if we go to 16, if the big doesn't move and doesn't take anybody. And by the way, the core of that, where we really need to know what's going on is in Berkeley or Palo Alto. That's the heart of the Pac right now. And what are those guys doing? And, there's a lot of sentiment. There's been a lot of push in the modern world. Well, it's football where, our leading academic institutions should really put their emphasis and this kind of thing. Baltimore did say something interesting about in the 50s, they applied to the Ivy League. Maybe they'll go that way. Maybe they'll, pick up Cal Poly and MIT and, create not MIT, but, some of these other, UCSD or some of these academic institutions on the West Coast and just forget that. And you can see that, and I don't think they're ready to do that or anything, but you can see it with some of the ideals that Stanford has in place that conflict with the new NIL model, et cetera, et cetera. So who knows? But that's where the heart of the pack is. It's in the Bay Area. So everything else is sort of peripheral.
Western Civic. Let me say something.
Sure.
Colorado Chancellor is not on the stage. He has no formal powers when it comes to this decision, and his informal powers are even less.
So forgive me, I don't know. Do they have a president and a chancellor?
Yes.
Or
yes.
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 So he's not the president.
So he's not. I'm going to keep with this. I'm trying to give everybody a peek while maintaining my ability to keep covering the story. The chancellor is not an actor on the stage. It is the Colorado president. But now go ahead, keep going. So his words meant little to nothing a couple weeks ago. But go ahead.
All right. Well, I don't know about this story that came out of 365. It just seems like more of the same. But okay, let me get to the point.
I don't know what story you're talking about, 365.
Well, the one that you sort of based this live on, where they came out, there's more rumors about the Four Corner schools. I mean, the same stuff.
Just so everyone's clear. Everyone's clear on this. My reporting of Hot Bubble of Action on April 18th, when we declared April 28th and May 17th, had nothing to do with anything to do with 365. So I'm just bringing up what the Gust of Wind. I watched the show. I thought it was a good way of saying it. We're not. 365 does a great job. Fantastic job, in my opinion. Fantastic job. Great show. Growing show for good reasons. Brian Etheridge, 365 Sikkim. They all do a fantastic job. But what
I much prefer, that's why I like you better, Greg. I just prefer, the guys who have to come on every day and it's their job are less interesting to me than people that come on when they have something to say. But
I do think people should pay attention to what they're saying. But I'm just telling you, this story is rich. It has flavor. It has layers. And we're peek around the corner is reporting to you all that Act 10 is about to finish and Act 11 is going to get wild. That's what we believe. And if it doesn't happen, Western Civic, if it doesn't happen, I expect you to give me a call on May 18th and let me have it with all that you've got in your phone call. Okay, sir?
No, hey, look, I'm not even disagreeing. I want to get to the point of what I call her, but no, I'm not disagreeing. Something could happen here, but the initiation isn't going to be someone jumping to the big, and this kind of is a nice way to lead into what I'm saying here.
Wait, what you just said? It ain't gonna start with somebody jumping to the Lubbock conference, correct?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Duly noted. Duly noted.
And if it does, it will be part of a larger program where everybody knows where everybody's going. But okay, let me throw something else out. There's another option. And are there any Aztecs out there? Because I want to talk to some San Diego State Aztecs. Y'all are the prettiest girl at the dance right now for sure. And I want to let San Diego State know that if it all goes to the worst, everybody leaves the pack except for the mountain schools, the four mountain schools, which is what we like to call them, not the Four Corners, because New Mexico is not involved, but the four mountain schools. Say they're left all alone. Well, what people don't know is there's another thing that came together the same time Utah went to the Sugar Bowl, and it was called the Mountain 10 Conference. It got as far as, in fact, that's when I found out that Utah was actively pursuing PAC membership, is when this idea of the Mountain 10 got as far as Utah's Uncle Phil, which is the Eccles, okay? And it got as far as we were discussing the Mountain 10 with the Eccles. And then, of course, Utah went on to win the Sugar Bowl. And just like our fellow comrade in the PAC, ASU, in 1975, Utah became the only undefeated team. Holy moly. Stand by.
Wait,
hey, you know what? I'm going to have to let you go.
Okay,
There's
no
another
problem.
option.
Okay.
San Diego State. Don't go running off to the Pac to the Big 12. There are other options in the world.
Got it. Okay.
Stick with the AAU schools in the mountain. Okay, we'll work it out.
Got it.
Thanks again, Greg.
Great call. Thank you. Woo. Okay. All right.
Call from
Eric calling.
Eric, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, good man?
Hey, how's it going? I don't know what it is, but I'm always seem to be the one that follows that one guy, and I'll keep it polite. But man, he tries my patience. I mean, is he still pulling out of thin air with no sense of reality? The idea that somehow BYU's independent and going to be independent for the college football and all this kind of stuff. And by the way, it seems like he never misses a chance to take a shot at. He seems like a total pro-Pac, pro-Utah. Some of the stuff he says seems like just pulls out of thin air, but it seems like he never misses a chance to take a shot at 365. First of all I got to say that is Dave Smoke has forgot more about sports and has more connections in sports over 40, 50 years of covering it through all out of Texas, recruiting and all over the country than he'll have in his lifetime. And a lot more common sense. And I'll leave it at that, first of all. And the same with his son, Craig. But what I really wanted to ask you about is, number one is, did you get my wife wants, and I both say hi to the little general. Roll Entry is here with me.
All right.
I was wondering, first of all, I want to say, yay, Cody Epps is staying, but I was wondering if you might have got, I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but if you got my DM the night before I sent you, let me know that he was in.
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Cody Epps is staying with BYU.
And I was just wondering if you got my DM. I sent you the day before all the announcement and stuff came out. I hope you got it.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm a big nobody, and I don't have a lot of like like you always say, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. I don't have a lot of sources, but I have a few every once in the blue moon. What do they say? Even a squirrel finds an acorn once in a while.
Yeah, we call it even a blind gopher picks up an acorn once in a while. But
for a Minnesota guy. But we're pretty happy. We picked up a good receiver in the portal and came back. And then our lady basketball player that was in the I know a lot of people don't follow ladies basketball, but I do. But we had the number one rebounder in the country that was in the portal that decided to come back as well. So it's been a good week for BYU Cougar fans. But what I wanted to mention to you, and I kind of mentioned this last time, is a lot of people aren't aware of the long-standing relationship and deep ties that BYU and Arizona State have. Are you aware of those, Greg?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, or another caller mentioned it last time they called. Yes, I am aware of it.
And they go all the way back to the late 60s, early 70s when they were in the WAC. And as you know, there's a large LDS population down in that neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And I mean a large one.
Yeah.
And my understanding from people I know is that when Brett was trying to figure out if Utah was even interested at all, they kind of used BYU as a go-between middleman because they had long-standing relations, obviously, with Utah, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but as rivalries go. But I've heard, and I was wondering if you could find out from your sources, from your guys sometime, I've heard that they've also used BYU people a little bit to help reach out to Arizona and Arizona State people because they also have long-standing connections. In fact, next year BYU plays Arizona again, and they play Arizona State on a fairly regular basis for not being in the conference. And frankly, Arizona and Colorado coming to the Pac or coming to the Big 12 will be very, very good for BYU because they're kind of on an island out west, and that gives them two travel partners and two areas where their fans travel really big to those areas, especially Arizona. It will be good for Arizona too, and if Arizona State, if they eventually come along, because BYU fans fill their stadium. So it'll be good for BYU to have a couple other Western teams, especially if they eventually, do pods or, group teams together in sections or something like that.
Yeah.
And then what I was going to say is Arizona State and schools like Arizona State and Utah, I think, need to be a little bit careful, because if Brett Yormark is going to do, like it all signs look like he's gonna basically next time negotiate a football package and a basketball package, almost like two separate leagues, like a basketball league and a football league. And it looks like he's gonna try to sell the football package as one TV deal and the basketball package as a second TV deal. Arizona is very valuable because they bring both football, their football not so much, but they bring a big market. They bring football and great basketball. Quite frankly, if Brett Yormark gets Arizona and Colorado, his need for Arizona State and schools like Utah go way, way down. And I think in their arrogance, Arizona State and Utah are kind of sitting around and saying, well, we can come whenever we want. They'll just take us. They want us. I don't think that's necessarily true. Once Brett Yormark gets Arizona and Colorado, the leverage for Arizona State goes way down, and I wouldn't see any reason why he would offer them the same offer. In other words, full freight membership that he's going to give the schools that jump first, like Arizona and Colorado. He might tell them, hey, you can come, but I'm not going to give you the same money I gave the ones that come first, because frankly, we don't really need you that much now. And as he sees the things in the ACC start to destabilize, I think he's got some incentive. Now he's got some Western teams to wait around and see what happens with that. Do you think there's a possibility that if Arizona State or Utah wait too long, they could be left out in the cold?
Well, I think anything is possible. Again, when I'm going to go back to it because it's a way to protect myself. When Act 10 is over with, we're going to have to recalibrate everything. That's the best way I can put it. Part of I would lean heavily that Yormark would still have intentions of adding two more. Can that? Because I say this because the reason why in Arizona would bring in a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons why Yormark is trying to do a national conference, trying to get that fourth time window to be valuable for not only now in this media package with Fox Sports and ESPN, but after 5 years from now, is he has that fourth time window. And is Arizona, do you want another, Arizona, there would be limited to how much they would want to play in that time slot, right? So
yeah. Same with BYU. They don't want to play in that time slot every week.
So there is probably, not probably, there's a definite incentive to go and add a couple more if you can. But then again, I want to make sure, because we got to wait to Act 10 plays. Then we can go crazy on this. It's okay to speculate on this show, but I'm going to be careful what I say, because I don't want to get we're doing a peek around the corner, right? I don't want to get the two different peaks mixed up. Yeah. So I'm focusing on the certain actors on the stage right now, but you guys can go ahead and speculate, just like what you're doing. But you asked me a question.
Here's my speculation, and I'll probably be totally wrong. It's no source or anything. It's just speculation. I have no sources. But my speculation is they're going to add Arizona and Colorado, and then that diminishes the leverage of Arizona State and other schools, because it just does. Because, number one, they become more desperate, because I think if you add Arizona and Colorado, and the Pac-12 hasn't done their deal yet, their deal goes down. If any, might even likely goes down. They're not going to, if those two schools are gone, they're not going to offer as much money. So here's my prediction. Arizona State ends up coming along with San Diego State, not Utah. I think Utah will stay stubborn right into the end. I think he really wants to get in California much, much more than people realize. And plant a pole right in the middle of the Pac. It sends a psychological message too. He wants to plant a pole right in the middle of Southern California, right in the heart of the Pac-12 country. He does that by granting San Diego State. That leaves the Pac no one really decent to grab to replace any of these schools with. Gives the Big 12 the only real market in the Southern California. So I think that's more valuable than people think. Again, and I'm not trying to relate this all to BYU, but BYU has a long-standing relationship with San Diego State too, not as much as Arizona and Arizona State. But I think he grabs Arizona and Colorado first, then San Diego State and San Diego State and Arizona decide they want to jump. But now Yorkman's really in the driver's seat. He'll let him in. I think he'll still take him, but I don't think they're going to get full freight like Arizona and Colorado. I think they're going to have to take less money because they ain't going to have much leverage. They're going to have to take less money, and they'll be full members, but I think it'll be a 2-3 year process for them to receive full payment. I think the smartest thing Arizona State could do is go with Arizona now and get full payment now, because I think their leverage gets worse over time. It doesn't get better.
Got it. Okay. Duly noted.
One last.
Yep. Go ahead. Real quick.
Can you kind of check around and see if you can find out if your mark as a league has been using BYU as a go-between at all with the Arizona schools? And then also, we just want to say you have a great show. You're a class act, and we like how you, like I always say, you shred more light and love on the subject than heat and put downs. And so we really love your show.
Appreciate it. And thank you. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Well, you have a great day.
Has schools, I'm going to leave it like this. Has schools in the Big 12 been a part of some communication with some schools in the Pac-12? Absolutely yes. And now I'm going to leave it that. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay? Yes, Big 12 schools have been used.
Call from
Mona Vision.
Moen Vision. The floor is yours. What's going on, good man?
Friends, Lugarians, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury the Pac-12, not to praise it.
Ooh.
The evil that conferences do lives after them. The good is oft interred with their bones. So let it be with the Pac-12.
Wow. Wow. Where'd you steal that from?
Colorado. I didn't steal that from anywhere. That's your 14X plays, Greg. You should be well aware that is part of Antony's speech during Julius Caesar's funeral.
Got it.
In Julius Caesar. Probably the more well-known quote is "Cry havoc and let slip the dogs of war."
Yeah.
But speaking of speculation, Colorado leaves, Arizona leaves. At this point, your mark would probably approach Utah and say now or never. I think he would prefer the Four Corner schools. I know San Diego State's a strong candidate, but I think he would prefer the Four Corner schools just because of the brands. And if Utah says no, then it would be Arizona State and San Diego State. At that point, the Pac-12 would effectively have collapsed. You would be remaining with Washington, Washington State, Oregon, Oregon State, Cal, Stanford, Utah, possibly. Washington and Oregon, at that point, will prostrate themselves before Tony Petitti and take any offer, make any concessions, do whatever it takes to get into the Big Ten. And then Cal and Stanford and Oregon State and Washington State have got a lot of figuring out to do. And that's the way I see it. I see the Big 12 going to 16. I see the Big 10 moving to 18 before 2024. I think that's one of the holdups for we haven't received season schedule or permanent rivals yet. I think that's one of the reasons why. I think the Big is still out there waiting. They are not on the stage, but they are in the luxury boxes with the little binoculars looking down, waiting to make their move.
You are either on something or you are on to something.
Sure. But I will give other people a chance to call. I don't want to take up too much time, but I will just say this. Beware the Ides of May.
Yes. Thank you. Great call, Monovision. Appreciate it. Mo and Vision, Mr. Buckeye gave us a lot of things to think about. Yes, that big door, expansion door is cracked open. And if you want to speculate on it, think about it. Well, let's say a potential Pac-12 school does a certain act at Act 10 of our play. We go to Act 11. We have to recalibrate, and suddenly Washington and Oregon, does Big Ten have more freedom to move? Do they have more leverage on Oregon, Washington? Do they have more leverage on, let's say, an Amazon, who may be out of the Pac-12 meeting negotiations? I would say, from what I've heard, but we've been saying this for months, a couple months at least, Big Ten expansion door is cracked open. The number one hurdle for further Big Ten expansion at this time is not in the chair anymore. And Fox Sports is not a hurdle. Still need money. Still need somebody to come up with that money. Still need to get the Big Ten presidents on board. They're worried about what the 2026 playoffs are going to be. They would want more at-large berths in the 2026 playoffs. A lot of hurdles. But Kevin Warren gone. And then if this Act 10 plays out in a very short time that we believe at peek around the corner, well, again, everyone's going to have to reevaluate, recalibrate, think about it. A sneaky good question here. Who is Amazon talking to now, Greg? Good question. Is that communication between Amazon and Big Ten, is that picked up? I've never figured out the reason Warren was the biggest hurdle for future Big Ten expansion. Didn't he want future expansion? He said that many times. Yes, and that's probably the problem. He said it many times. He went over his ski tips too many times. He communicated, he sent the message that the Big Ten presidents did not want sent. Because when he said that, a lot of different reasons, but when he said that over and over again in public, Big Ten presidents got the blowback from other presidents, other conferences, athletic directors having to spend time with other athletic directors and other conferences. And there's a whole bunch of other reasons. There's some Big Ten presidents who are not convinced that they should be expanding right now. There's some they've always wanted Big Ten expansion. We talked about it. We talked about it through the history of this channel. But because of the travel issue, the perception of the travel issue, that can get You can, if you add another couple schools, the cost benefit analysis of further Big Ten expansion at this time really goes to the heart. It really goes to this point. That is, the Big Ten is going to expand out east once again sometime in the next 10 years. They might not be able to eat first, but they're going to eat out east, southeast. To do that, you're going to have to go out west again. That is a consensus in the Big Ten. And you say, Greg, how can you say this? No one has said this. No one has said this. Because we were told that before June 30th of 2022, when the world found out USC was going to the Big Ten, when we were reporting USC to the Big Ten for 3 months prior, daily, weekly. Part of that whole story, part of what fills up a big, thick notebook that I have on that whole story, is the fact that the Big Ten eventually wanted to have more representation out west because they're going to move out east again. And you're not going to have 2 schools in California, only 2 schools west of Lincoln in a 20 to 24 team Big Ten conference. That's not going to be the composition of the conference. So the cost analysis that Robert J. Jones, of the Chancellor of Illinois, that so many people misinterpreted his interview. My goodness, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be so... They misinterpreted. The cost-benefit analysis that he was discussing was in around when is it the best time to take 2 more schools out in the Pacific Coast? Now? Or when we advance eastward 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now? That's the cost-benefit analysis. That's what they're looking at. To have Oregon and Washington come at a discount for the next 5, 6 years to ensure the other schools probably get a little bit more money. Even now, they'll probably get a little bit more money. That cost-benefit analysis, doing it now, if the Pac-12 continues to crumble, if they get poached by the Big 12, or even if that happens, we should still wait. We should keep at 16. Let's collect data on UCLA, USC, yada, yada, yada. That's what they're figuring out right now. That's why the door is cracked open right now. It's not a definite no. The expansion door was slammed shut early October. And it wasn't going to open again with Kevin Warren in the chair. Kevin Warren said he's leaving. The door cracked open. National reporters reported it. We learn if our own sources tell us a couple weeks later. And we put it out there. We got raked over the coals, like we always do. There's plenty of hurdles. But the door's cracked open. When Act 10 gets done with, we go to Act 11. That's part of the recalibration. That's part of the reevaluation of everybody. Everybody that wasn't on stage on Act 10 and everybody that was on stage on Act 10. Everyone has to rethink it. There's a certain inertia that gets built up. A certain momentum. Relationships are important. Relationships are important. One of the reasons why we think Arizona State is not on the stage for Act 10. The relationship. They lack that with the Big 12. Big 12 commissioner. But this is going to be, we're going to wrap it up. This is going to be a short night. We wanted to come up on her early. Your host is extremely busy. Lots of stuff going on. So we're going to wrap it up. Watch the episode of today, this morning. Keep your head on a swivel. We're going to be doing a live show here pretty quick, I would say. That's the best I can tell you. This show was to make everything clear as possible. Who's on the stage, who's not on the stage for Act 10. I didn't want there to be any confusion. I hope I've made it clear. I have to treat the story as best I possibly can. And I think we've done that here. I know some people are frustrated on both sides. Like, people are frustrated at me because I haven't laid it all out. Some people are frustrated at me that I said anything at all in regards to how could you possibly put a hot bubble of action? How could you do that when pretty much everyone else is saying, no, this is going to go to late summer? Well, I felt we definitely had the info. We definitely had the intel, and peek around the corner, we had to give it to you. But I also don't want to become part of the story. So, next live show, please join us at Peek Around the Corner. Please join us. Fill up your mug. Bring a bag of popcorn. It's going to be a long show. So you might have to have your pillow and blanket. And buckle up. Brace for impact. If you're new to the show, I know I'm sounding a little crazy right now, but subscribe to the channel. At least you'll get notified. Flug Empire at Twitter was sometimes, hopefully, we'll be able to give you a little bit of a heads up. And share the video with your family and friends. Word of mouth, spread it around. In the next live show, hot bubble of action. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.